Fastlane Founders and Legacy with Jason Barnard. Each week, Jason sits down with successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, and executives and get them to share how they mastered the delicate balance between rapid growth and enduring success in the business world. How can we quickly build a profitable business that stands the test of time and becomes our legacy? A legacy we're proud of. Fastlane Founders and Legacy with Jason
Hi, everybody,
Barnard.
and welcome to another Fastlane and Founders and Legacy with me, Jason Barnard, and a quick hello, and we're good to go. Welcome to the show, Allan Levy.
Well, thank you, Jason. Thank you. I can't sing back at you, but I do appreciate the warm welcome, and it's great being here.
Brilliant. Wonderful. I'm really excited to talk about the future of CRM and digital marketing with generative AI. And my first question is going to be, why have you brought CRM and digital marketing together? But that's for after the introductory part, which is your brand SERP, and in this case, your results in ChatGPT. Now here, I just said, who is Allan Levy? And obviously your name is very popular, and it immediately start thinking, well, which one do you mean? And this is a fundamental question that a lot of us have to answer is, there are so many people with my name. How does the machine know which one I'm talking about? Some people dominate, as you'll see, but with a popular name like yours, it's very difficult. So I then have to add the name of your company, CEO of Alchemy Worx, and there it absolutely gets you. So once we have a little bit of context, and that's the important thing about AI, which you know, is when it has context, it's very good. When it doesn't have context, it's generally pretty bad. And then here is, what do you think of Jason Barnard? And it immediately knows who I am. And all the other Jason Barnards in the world disappear off the face of the planet because it's so confident in what it knows about me and confident in my own or my importance in the world that it will immediately just talk about me rather than any of the other 3,000 Jason Barnards in the world. I don't know to what extent it's important to dominate with your name in AI, but it's certainly very important to be well understood. And that's what we do at CaliQ.
I have something now to aspire to.
Yes. Well, that's part of what we do at CaliQ. Is my website, jasonbarnard.com, and my name are the gold standard in controlling how search and AI understand and represent me. And that's what we aim to do for our clients, is get them up to that kind of standard where the machines get it right and they understand and they believe in my credibility. But enough of my sales pitching. I do apologize. We're talking about the future of CRM and digital marketing with generative AI. My first question then, as I said, was why CRM and digital marketing together?
Okay, so I guess let me give you a little bit of background on our company and you know what we're about. We're an agency that's focused on CRM retention marketing. We manage that for about 50 clients actively. From the enterprise side, you know, companies like Universal Music Group and SiriusXM, down to the mid-market size, a handful or a bunch of companies that are $100 million to $1 billion in revenue. We are a data first company, so we're data first, and then we build strategy along the data, and we support it with design and creative. We have a tool for testing subject lines, and we saw that we've been using this tool and obviously upgraded the tool multiple times over the course of the last 6 or 7 years, where we can take our existing database of millions of subject lines, a client's database of the thousands or tens of thousands of subject lines that we've run for them, and specifically run a test of a subject line against historical performance and identify whether or not it will or won't perform and rank it. We layered onto that about 18 months ago, ChatGPT, because what we learned, not just from our tool, but just even looking externally at all the other tools that are out there for testing subject lines, is that while everybody believes a subject line should be tested, they don't they don't often do it, no matter how easy it is, because
Mm.
coming up with the 5 or 6 subject lines to test is is work, and it's not a lot of work, but it's work. And so by layering ChatGPT in, we've been able to come up with the recommended subject lines, and then you layer in filters, which ChatGPT 4 allows you to do, and some other things, and you build intelligence, and you can come up with brand voice, you can come up with tone, you can come up with other pieces of it, and then you pull that all together, and you're basically doing your pushing out subject lines that are going to generate the most value for an audience, right? Buyer or non-buyer,
Right.
high value buyer, et cetera. So there's the CRM aspect of it, right? And then the AI aspect of it is figuring it out. And where do I need artificial intelligence? Where the next leg of this? The next leg of this is there's not a lot of data when you start to get really, really granular, right? Where you take, you know, this client X who sells cosmetics, now I want to speak to their customers who bought this group of cosmetic and or highly loyal. All of a sudden, I'm now down to an audience, even though they may have 3 million people in their database, I'm down to an audience of 30,000 people. And I want to identify how they've looked and performed over a
Yeah.
course of series of campaigns. And my engagement data is down to 3,000. It's not enough. I need artificial intelligence to take that, crunch it, and identify what other aspects of it are and lookalikes are.
Right. Okay. So you've integrated ChatGPT already and using it like many people and companies to actually generate the ideas because the blank sheet of paper is traditionally, historically, the hardest thing to do.
Yes.
How's it going to evolve in the future?
I want to get it down to the individual level. So I can send
Wow.
Jason Barnard an email offer, and ultimately even work with, social media, right? So that when I send you something in email, you're looking at your LinkedIn and you're seeing something that's consistent with that. And it doesn't have to be identical. It may even be additive, right? I may start the journey in email and continue the journey in social media. That's
Mhm.
different than somebody else who is in a somewhat similar but not perfect role. If at a minimum, I maybe address regionality because you're in Europe and we're in the US. I may
Mm.
address it by time zone and not send it to you at the end of your day or at midnight your time because I'm right. So any type of personalization that can be added in there would be able to, I'm looking that AI can help us with all of these pieces.
Right. And then there's always been a huge problem of keeping that personalization across multiple platforms from, as you said, LinkedIn to email.
Yes.
Where are we going with that? I mean, it's going to get quite invasive.
Is it going to be invasive? You said I missed that.
Well, I'm going to be tracked, super
You are
tracked.
tracked already, right? You are tracked today. If you abandon a shopping cart on an e-commerce site, you're very likely to see that product in a Facebook ad. So people already know they're tracked. Can you turn those tracking off? Absolutely. Everybody's giving you the opportunity, whether it's Meta or Apple, they're all giving you the opportunity to turn off the tracking. It's the job of marketers to do a good job of adding a lot of value so that you actually don't want to turn off the tracking and you don't want to see ads for women's skirts. And you'd rather at least if it's noise, see the noise for things that you're interested in. It may be single
Yeah.
malt scotch or it may be beer or it may be tennis rackets, but it should be something that's of more interest to you than the things that have no interest to you at all.
Right. I mean, as marketers, we want to track everybody about everything. And as users and buyers, we don't want to be tracked. We find that shocking. So there's always that kind of contradiction between our professional life and our personal life.
Do we or don't we? I do agree that there are certain people that don't want to be tracked, but if you go to the same coffee shop every morning, wouldn't you like them to say, "Hey, Jason, here's your if it's a here's your latte,
Mm.
no sugar? Or do you want to walk in anonymous and they say, we don't track you. We don't remember anything. Tell
Yeah.
us what you want. Right. And you can give us any name you want that
Yeah.
you want the personalization.
Sure.
Um,
Well,
and
and I suppose what I kind of meant is there's a knee-jerk reaction against it, but we all like it at the end of the day. Or
yes.
most of us like it and appreciate it. But the next question, moving away from that, is adopting generative AI is actually really very difficult in businesses. We all talk about it and we say we should be adopting it, look at this and look at that. And then we get fear of missing out by seeing all our competitors using it. Actually getting to the stage where you can and you do use it is super challenging. What are some ways I can do that?
Um, Well, the great thing about ChatGPT is there's a certain amount of learning to it. So you can just go into ChatGPT and, if it gives you results you're not comfortable with, go back and challenge it and say, I'm not
Mm,
comfortable with these results because of this reason or that reason, and it will retool the results. So just as a layperson, you can just go in and do that. We've been adapting it by simply, I don't want to say simply, but by putting filters on it, right? So my design team and my copywriters, rather than, again, blank sheet of paper writing a creative brief, what did we do? We went into ChatGPT, we gave it a handful of prompts, write a creative brief, and here's all of my prompts, and therefore it spit out a creative brief to me. And I said, great, you know what? Let me build a bunch of filters that have all of these prompts in, feed the prompts into ChatGPT, pull back the data in a format that my designers can use. And before, I'm not optimizing yet, but at least at a minimum, let me fill that blank sheet of paper. Let me
mm,
let me write the 2 paragraphs and have my copywriters edit rather than my copywriters start from scratch. And so we are finding that chat is very useful in that manner right now. And it's not that difficult to put those filters. So
mm,
any company can start using it. I'll give you another example.
yeah.
My head of business development received an email back from a client saying, thank you very much for all the effort. You did an analysis for us and you gave us pricing and a product pitch and everything else, but we're not ready to purchase right now, right? We're not ready to commit right now. He took their email, all of the email string, his 2 decks that he had sent them, which had data and analysis and everything else, and said, how should I reply?
Mm,
And he
yeah.
just stuck it into ChatGPT and it fed back to him a pretty good answer. Now, obviously, he's got to fine tune that answer, but it's that opportunity to sit down with an expert that can
Mm,
do the research for you, look through all of the work you've done, and say, "Tell me what you think." It's an amazing tool, and I think here's an example of, I don't want to say anybody, but didn't mean diminish my level of expertise that my head of business development has, but in anybody can literally do and put their information in and get results.
right. Yeah, no, 100%. And I think kind of you say also, not only just that email thread and the slide deck, but also the other knowledge and the other information that ChatGPT has in the background. I think we often forget about that. The immense amount of data that's in there, the immense amount of knowledge that it can spit back at you. You've talked about email, and you've talked about replying to clients who are using ChatGPT. What other examples have you got within the CRM digital marketing space?
We're starting to build out, we're not there yet. We're starting to build out tools to do the types of analysis that our junior analysts would do. Uh, Push in all of the CRM data in to chat and come back with a report, right?
Mm,
Uh, Sales are up in the last 3 months. Uh, can you tell us what's driving the increase in sales. So we can come up with a strategy for the rest of the year to continue to benefit from this lift in sales, right? And so uh, typically that's what our strategy team does. They look at it, they identify sales are up because engagement is up. Engagement is up because we ran these 2 or 3 specific campaigns. We only ran these campaigns twice. There's room to run these campaigns, once a month rather than once every 6 weeks. That'll give us a 25 or 30% increase. That's what our strategists will do. But pulling that base data out as an analyst, but that information I don't want to say easily, can be pulled out by chat. It's just data, right? It's just a matter of your best campaign was this, teach it to understand that engagement drives revenue and engagement and revenue are tied together. And then teach it to tell you. Now, the strategist may look at it and say, well, those campaigns are driven around specific holidays and there's only X amount of specific holidays. Even if we strain to say, Martin Luther King Day is holiday as equal to President's Day, but there's only 6, right? So the strategist has to still, there's never handing it all over to chat. Maybe at some point in the future, we can continue to train it on some of these pieces, but the strategist still has to look into that. And I'll actually answer on the other side of that. You didn't ask this question, but where do the humans come in? Well, the humans
I was
come
about
in.
to ask that. Done.
The humans come in and saying, okay, how about if I do this, which is totally nobody's ever done before, right? Because chat can only answer the questions to what's been done before, right? And so how the humans come in and saying, I want to challenge you and I want to do this, which has never been done before, and test that. And so there's always room for innovation. It's just going to push us harder and harder to become more creative in our innovation.
Right. So the human always needs to be in the loop. The human always needs to make the final decision or not?
No, I don't think the human always needs to make the final decision. I think if you're looking for innovation, it's going to be a number of years before chat can give you the type of creative innovation out of the box thinking that human beings will come up with, because some of those ideas are counterintuitive. I'll
Right.
give you a very simple example, right? Um, Years ago, we had a client that was running a 30 off sale. So their go-to promotion was 30 off site wide.
Mm.
And I came back to them and said, I'd like to run a buy one, get one 50 off sale. And their first response was, no, we can't do more than 30 off. We can't do 50 off. And I said, no, listen closely. It's buy one for full price and get the second item for 50 off, which translates down to 25 off.
Right.
And I haven't tested this in ChatGPT, so I could be wrong, and I probably will right after this podcast. But um, buy one, get one 50 off did better than their 30 off sale.
Right. Okay.
Generated more revenue. It was they gave a lesser discount. They get 25 off, but it generated more revenue because it was perceived by the end user as being a higher value. They didn't go through the computation in their mind. So the logical computation would be 30 off is going to do better than 25 off.
Yeah.
Right. And so and whether that is a good example or chat actually does figure that out, I don't know. But there are going to be examples like that where
Right.
human innovation is going to come up with something that the data doesn't support until you do it enough times that it starts to live within the data.
Right. And kind of that brings back to the idea that the lack of logic in human beings works both ways, both in the way we act and the way we think and the way we decide to do things. So from the perspective of the buyer, they're saying, well, it's not a logical decision to go more for the buy one, get one 50% off. And I really like that idea. I'm wondering how long it's going to take before humans aren't needed anymore.
I think, it's like anything else. We just have to keep evolving. as a race. So we have to become smarter and smarter, right? There was a job at one point of butter churner, right? That
Yes, very
somebody,
true.
the only way you were getting butter was by somebody manually churning the butter, right? And then there was an ice box, and somebody had to deliver ice to the home every morning.
Yeah.
And so we could argue to say, well, you're going to put all these companies out of business that freeze the ice and ship it off and deliver it, or the milkman. And
Yeah.
I'm dating myself because yes, I did have a milkman come and deliver milk in New York, a seltzer man. But yes, there's going to be an evolution. But I think as a race, we're just going to continue evolving and getting smarter and uh, challenging ourselves.
That's a brilliant way to end the show. Thank you so much, Alan. That was delightful. Thank you, everyone, for watching. You get the outro song. A quick goodbye to end the show. Thank you, Alan.
Jason, thank you so much. It was really a pleasure.
That was delightful.
Your corporate and personal brands are what Google and AI say they are. We can give you back control. CaliCube.